Hello and welcome to InteSoul Leadership, which is a segment of my business, DestinySpeak Inc. And it's my pleasure to be here today with Donna Carter, who is of the Clark County Equity Coalition. I'm just going to pop that up so you can see that. She actually founded this coalition and out of a passion for her. And we're having these conversations with InteSoul leaders. These are members are people who have joined the InteSoul Leadership Community, which I launched, that really gives a safe place for leaders to be able to know that they're not alone in wanting to stand for our integrity, have authenticity in what they're doing, and really making a change for not only the products and services in the organization, but also the people that are working alongside them. It's a holistic approach to leadership. And I'm just absolutely honored to be with each of these leaders and having them come along. We're highlighting these leaders so that if you are feeling like you're flying solo and you have people around you that are not holding up to the same standards that you want to hold up to, and you're wondering what's going on in the world, or even how do we navigate this new world, I invite you to join the InteSoul Leadership Community. I'll have a link where you can actually know how to join and get started with us. We would love to have you. I call it a momentum. We're setting a momentum. It's a movement for leaders who really are wanting to make a difference for the people who they are leading, and helping everybody around them within their influence to really excel, right? And when we do that, it's not just about collaboration, but it's about getting the greater of the good, because we have the community working towards their greatness. So, with all that said, I'm going to welcome Mrs. Donna Carter of the Clark County Equity Coalition. Woohoo!
Hi.
Hi, how are you? And
Good.
Donna, again, thank you for joining us. Would you please explain to uh, the audience? I know we're going to get into what the InteSoul Leadership Community means to you, but if you could explain to us what you do, how you came about the Equity Coalition, why, and where you all are right now.
Yeah, thank you for having me. The Clark County Equity Coalition is a grassroots nonprofit organization that came from a place of bridging a gap. So I'm a parent. My daughter's 14. I live in Kentucky, and she was a couple years ago was in a school where there was a survey done, and quite a nice percentage of the teachers were not comfortable speaking to a child of another race or culture. And so I, you know, give them credit for being honest on the survey, but at the time I was on the site-based decision making council and asked what was going to be done, and of course they were doing DEI training and all of that. But uh, I know, and we all know that it takes, like you said with InteSoul, a movement to make substantial change in areas like that. And so we actually took our daughter out of school for a year because what does that mean for my daughter, a young Black girl? And there's not very much representation in the schools. It has since improved, but that year I, just felt an urging and just a nudge, and I definitely believe it was the Holy Spirit telling me that, okay, you can do this for your child, but what about those parents who can't? What about those kids who can't? And so I started calling some like-minded people, and I have a young lady, a young woman who partnered with me, Vashay King, and I started calling around, and I said, hey, let's do something. Got in touch with an organization in Kentucky called the Pritchard Committee, which is focused on student achievement in the states and the equity of that achievement. And got in touch with some people there, and they said, well, if you want to start one, just start it. And so we did. And
Nice.
that's how we got started. Yeah.
Nice. And I so appreciate you and the others who have come alongside you for doing this, for making, so many times we say we see an issue, but we're like, somebody should do something about that.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, you are the somebody.
right,
You are the somebody. And it makes sense because you do have a vested interest. Your daughter, we want our children to grow up healthy, emotionally, as well as physically and spiritually. And we, as parents, have to steward all those aspects of their lives, which means we have to get involved and not just talk about it.
right,
So, kudos to you. And what I thought when I was preparing for this interview is that leaders often have to pioneer a path that's not been laid out for them, right? An unpaid path, right? Pioneering.
right.
And can you talk to us about what does that feel like? Did was it overwhelming, or how did you, if it was, how did you just say it's important enough for me to keep pushing forward?
Right. It was overwhelming, and and I still feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm fortunate enough to have people like you and the InteSoul community and other people around me, past leaders who have been in my life to lean on and also ask questions sometimes. But I just kept talking and keep asking questions and walking through the doors as they open. And if I have an idea, um, I'm 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 beyond not thinking that it can happen. So just if an idea comes, I just think, oh, we can do that,
Mhm.
and I have like-minded people who are on the board who feel the same way. We right now we only have 4 board members. We're being very intentional about that, but we just keep talking. We keep going out and meeting people, knocking on doors. We went and met with the superintendent of the school. We told him what we wanted to do. He was very receptive. And so as we meet people and we talk to people, they get to know us. And then people are starting saying, "Hey, you have to know this person. Hey, you need to know this person. Oh, I heard what you're doing. I want you to meet so and so." So then it becomes where we're not even really having to knock on the door. People are bringing people to us because they see what's happening. And I think for me, I do a lot of things not necessarily scared, but just not knowing and just trusting that, okay, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but at least let's ask, let's try, let's see. Um, and even now, next year we will have 2 programs running in the school as
Oh,
opposed to one.
awesome.
Last
Awesome.
year we had the Black and Hispanic Achievers start, and this year we will have a senior interpreter co-op, which we are very, very excited about.
Awesome. Kudos.
Um, and so, yeah, I think you just keep asking questions. Don't be afraid to, um, you know, reach out if you need help, because you never know who can help you. And I keep telling people that networking is so important. And not just from me reaching out to you, but when people reach out to me, making sure that I'm also giving back and getting back to them, because those relationships have been just awesome to me in this whole situation where people have said, "Oh, you let me call so and so for you." And that one phone call, matter of fact, that's how the senior interpreter program really got to be.
Awesome.
A guy at my church works for University of Kentucky. He heard what I was doing. He asked me to email him. I did. He started emailing all these people at University of
Woohoo.
Kentucky,
Yes.
and put me in touch with Dr. Naya, who's the head of the cardiology for the University of Kentucky College of Medicine. He's over DEI, I think, and started talking to him. And then he put me in touch with the director of the interpreters at UK. It just, and that was just an innocent. I'm a greeter at church. Dave Fardo, he's a greeter at church. We were just talking one day, and that's how that happened. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So that's so, and this is so aligning to. I think there's certain things, there's certain pillars, if you will, that leaders have to just be willing to get comfortable in, and continue to do, because Megan, who was our guest a couple of days ago, talked about the power of networking too, and how it has enabled her to get and almost rebrand, not almost rebrand her business
Mhm.
so that she was okay with doing what she's doing today. And to your point, it's opening doors, and it said closed mouths don't eat, right?
Right.
And so when you actually go and you share your story, you share your passion, you share the vision. And I talk about the vision performance, authentic communication, empowering yourself and the people around you, and then building resilience in my programs. Through DestinySpeak when I'm coaching leaders.
Yep.
And so you're talking about, how do I make sure my vision is continuing to perform? I share the vision with others so that doors can open, we see what's possible, and we go after what's possible.
Right.
And
Right.
that's amazing. And it's one step at a time. And it sounds like that one step opened a whole bunch of steps for
Yep.
you.
Yep. It sure did. It sure did. It
So
sure did.
I know that you also had the opportunity through this great movement for our students, Black and Brown students, to go to Washington, D.C. And can you tell us more about that?
Sure. My partner, Vashe King, oversees the Black and Hispanic Achievers, and the year in well spring break, we took 20 students to Washington D.C. We did some college tours. We went to Marshall University, Howard University, University of District of Columbia, all the memorials, the National African American History Museum, the Air and Space Museum. I mean, we did it. We did it all. And this is a group of 6th to 12th graders, and we had parents, grandparents go with us. It was really
Right.
a nice time. Some of these students had never been out of Winchester or Kentucky, and
Mm.
it was just really a good time for them. And there was minimal that they had to pay. She took care of that, and we just really had a great time. And so we will be kicking off that program again in September. And I don't know what trip she's planning at the end of this year, but I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal for the kids. And the goal, her heart and the heart of the Equity Coalition is to bridge gaps by showing children who don't always have resources what
Mm.
is available to them. Just
Yeah.
exposing them to what
Yeah.
is available to them so that they can really dream and they can really desire and inspire to be more. And we hope that we pour into them, that they will come back to the community and be our future leaders. But even if they don't, we want them to know what's available to them. And so that was the goal of that trip, and it was really nice.
Weren't you also invited by some group to come and serve or be a part of a discussion around this topic in DC even before that trip?
Well, the Pritchard Committee, which is the committee where the committee the group I told you that focuses on student achievement with the state and equity, they sponsored us to go to the Ed Trust conference in Washington D.C. I believe it was last year's, maybe it was the year before, but that was a phenomenal conference. And they have a conference like that every year. It's usually in DC, and it's focused around education and topics for marginalized students, for our Black and Brown students, students who don't always have resources. And this was a power pack conference. I mean, there were really some good speakers there, and we really learned a lot. So we were able to attend that from a sponsorship from the Pritchard Committee here in Kentucky. That was really nice.
Yeah, and so what you're sharing with us is that you're modeling the way for your students. So as you're encouraging them to be exposed to different things, you all are being exposed to different opportunities. And it was great that, the Pritchard committee invited you all there. And so I commend you for really taking something that you could have gotten really bitter about how your daughter was being treated. You could have, and like you said, you could have walked away and just continued to educate her on your own
Mhm.
outside of the system.
Mhm.
But there are some things that I like to say, and that, as we know, there's a call on your life and an assignment on your life that's really a divine assignment, I believe. And we have to answer it. We don't have to, but it's probably in our best interest to answer it, right? And it sounds like you have started to see the fruit of your labor, and you know that, yep, this was the right thing to do.
Mhm.
And just think of how you're showing what leadership skills you're showing your daughter,
Yeah.
about, here's something that I care about, here's something that I think should be right, and when it's wrong, and I'm not just going to be a voice in the crowd complaining about it or things like that, but I'm going to go for it.
Right.
And that, all of that really just speaks to the values of the InteSoul Leadership Community. We know that leadership cannot continue to look like it has in the past,
Mhm.
for many situations, in most situations. It can't be a dictatorship type thing, or do as I say kind of thing. We people learned during COVID that they have choices, right?
Right.
And so, with having choices, we need to make sure we're giving people meaningful work and meaningful opportunities, and that they understand the cost and the risk around all of that, and willing to go after that. So, again, I kudos to you and your committee. And what is it that you all need, um, as a coalition? How can this audience and those who are going to listen to this on replay, how can we most help you? And I'm going to put your contact information in the post afterwards, but how can we most help you?
Yeah. Well, we definitely could use donations, and we're always looking for contacts. I do want to clarify. My daughter didn't really receive bad treatment at the school, but I think sometimes, like you said, Yvette, we wanna we wanna. I could have just, like you said, I could have pulled out, kept her in private school, and just gone about my business, but that would not have helped anyone. And now we're having courageous conversations with we've had a session with the students, we've had a session with the teachers and staff, we've
Right.
had a session with parents, and our next session is with the board and the administration. So the good thing about it is that we've learned that most of the teachers and the staff, they want these conversations, they want to learn. There was
Mm,
just no true opportunity
right.
with what they were getting. And
Hmm.
so a lot of times I didn't get bitter, but you think, if you have a skill set, and I've been in DEI for years because HR is my living, and I thought I have a skill set that could help this community.
Mm,
And for me to just sit back and not do that, I just, God wouldn't allow that, and I couldn't do that. So I just wanted to clarify that, because the school system has been very receptive.
yeah.
Teachers have been very receptive, and they are welcoming of groups who can help. And I also want to say that our education system is overloaded.
Hmm.
So really, when you say, what do I need parents and family members and guardians to get engaged. And
Hmm.
not just when it comes to the athletics and things like that, but to really get engaged. Because after COVID, and even before, teachers are dealing with, trauma from these kids. There's a huge percentage of our kids whose one of the parents is incarcerated, and then you have the drug, so I really need parents to get involved, to be
Hmm.
engaged in the process. And it's not easy. This is too big of a problem to just say, okay, our education system. It's too big of a problem
Hmm.
to do that. So um, we definitely could use donations. And if you go to our website, there is a place to donate, tax deductible. Um, but we also can use parents to get engaged. And if you're not in our community, I encourage you to be engaged in your own community, in your own education system, and in your own schools, because just being a mentor or being there, or kids having representation in the schools, even if it's not a teacher, can make a big difference for these children.
Yeah. What's your website? I'm going to put it up.
It is Clark. You would think I would know this by heart, right? Where's my business card? It's
And while you're looking for that, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You got it?
Nope, not yet.
Okay. While you're looking for that, I'm so glad you corrected me because I don't want to cause any shade to any organization, any group, um, or give any negative impression. I'm so elated to hear that the school systems want the help. They just weren't getting the level of help that they needed to really make a difference. And so
Right,
that is amazing that they're partnering with you all to really make that difference, like you said, for all kids.
right. It's Clark, CLARK hyphen equitycoalition.com. And we also have a Facebook page, but I can give you all
Yeah,
that.
I can put all that. But while we were talking, I wanted to put that up. So here's the website. If you are looking to find out more about what they're doing, and again, as Donna is saying, this is happening in Kentucky.
Right,
Winchester, Kentucky. It started because that's where they're living. But Clark County is the county in which this is all happening, and maybe you want to start something in your area. I'm sure if you reach out to them, they'll tell you how they got started,
yeah.
and and maybe that I'm sure that will help you to be able to start too. So let's just talk about the leadership and the InteSoul Leadership Community and how that's helped you, especially in this space. Now, I know you've been a leader in corporate and you're HR professional, human resource professional. You've led many, many different organizations, even global organizations. So leadership is not a stranger to you or foreign to you. But why can you tell us why you felt becoming a part of the InteSoul Leadership Community was important?
Well, number one, I know you, and I know what kind of leader you are, and over the years, the advice and the mentorship that I've received from you. So that was number one. And so just knowing you, I know that there's going to be like-minded leaders. And I always strive to have a network of people around me who, I the old saying, if you're the smartest person in the room, then you're not in the right group. And I
Mhm.
am always trying to learn. And sometimes it's just good to go to the group and read to see that, okay, well, I'm not crazy. I'm not the only one. And oh, this is really what's happening, that kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you're dealing with stuff and you're going through things, and just to hear, not that you want other people to be going through things, but just to see that you're not the only one, is really sometimes comforting, and to talk and share and to be uplifted, because
Mhm.
a lot of times you'll send out posts or emails, and I'll read it and I'll be like, oh yeah, it's just what I needed for the day. So I think that's really what draws me to InteSoul.
Awesome. Can you share a pivotal moment or a challenge you've faced as a leader and how your leadership approach helped you overcome it?
Um, I think I think a pivotal moment would be, uh, starting a new position, and there's always that part where you have to get acclimated, and you kind of feel like I'm in over my head, because you're learning a new way, a new position, new responsibilities. And if you're trying to build a team at the same time, I think sometimes it can be difficult. And I think the way that I usually overcome that is just trying to show up authentically
Mhm.
and really trying to show up vulnerable, and not let myself think that, I don't have all the answers. I don't need to have all the answers. That's why you have a team. And just relying on that. And because sometimes, I'll be saying something and I don't know the answer. And so I'll say I don't know, but then in my mind I'm thinking, oh, you shouldn't have said you don't know. You go through all those things. But then I've learned over the years that it's okay. I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just have to be able to inspire my team and motivate them and empower them. And because where they're strong, I may be weak, and where I'm weak, they may be strong, and that's what makes a team. And so I think learning that has been probably the most important thing and freeing thing, right?
Yeah.
Then, I don't have to go spend hours trying to research something that's not in my lane,
Right.
right? Because I just want to go to the meeting and be the smartest person in the room. Let the person who really knows do that, right? And
Right.
that's very freeing, and has been something over the years that has really helped me to um, help empower and develop my team. Because if I'm trying to do everything, then what is there left for them to do?
Hmm. That's really good.
Mhm.
That's really, really good. And we talk, if when people look at the branding around the InteSoul Leadership Community, that line I use all the time, which is stop flying solo.
Yeah.
And that means it's like, even if you have a team, but you're trying to do everything, you're flying solo, and that's not sustainable. And you're not really building the collaboration and getting the greater of the good from the whole group, as opposed to just yourself. And there's so much more. So, the in the InteSoul Leadership Community, I talk about making sure that one of my goals is to make sure that we give leaders a safe space where they can test out things. It's where they can even share where they are at the moment. It's because sometimes leaders don't have a safe space to vent, not vent, just vent, but to share ideas and get other people, get feedback, or even just feel like, how do I continue to build as this leader, right? And so my goal is to have leadership look different, and that's just not physical, but how our demeanor, right, and our continence, how we even show up that way, and sound different and leave people feeling different. How do you think? How are you doing that in your day to day work, holding up those type of values as you're leading the various organizations that you're leading?
Um, I think I like to make sure everybody has a voice and feels heard and valued. Um, I have open communications with my team, and the company I work with full time is all full time remote. So I really have to be intentional about meeting with them and letting them know I'm available. And then for the coalition, we really have taken, I don't think it's a unique approach, but we invite other organizations. It's not just about us. So there are other
Mhm.
organizations who are part of the coalition, and they participate and they come, and we're not trying to reinvent the wheel.
Mhm.
The mental health task force is part of our coalition. The health department here is part of our coalition, and we support them. They support us. We work together.
Mhm.
And when it comes to the school system, there's things that they can offer that we can't, and that kind of thing. And so I think being able to be free enough and not, as a leader, not have your ego get in the way of allowing other people to participate and demonstrate their strengths. And they have a lot of strengths. We have a lot of great agencies here who really are doing some great work,
Mhm.
and a lot of them are working with the school district, and we have so we don't need to recreate that, but how can we help you? How can we partner? Is there something you need from us? That kind of thing. And so that's really been my approach. Is not about it's not all about me. It's not all about us. It's That's really been my approach to leading.
Awesome. So, as we're wrapping up, what advice would you give a leader or someone who, you know what, let me put it this way, because often when I talk to people, they're like, well, I really didn't consider myself a leader, which I'm always like, I'm always surprised at that when people come back and say that, because in my mind, we're all leading in some fashion in our life. We're at least leading our own individual lives, right? So let's get back to the question. What advice would you give someone or a leader who is hearing these conversations, these interviews of you wonderful InteSoul Leader community members, and they might be contemplating joining or wanting to hear more about the organization? What advice would you give them?
I would say it's a great organization to join, and the only reason that you wouldn't is that you want to fly solo, I think, because it's such a variety of leaders too, right? It's there. Some people are entrepreneurs, some people are still in corporate. It's just such a variety of leaders, and at different areas of their life. And there's a lot of gems that you get from just reading the posts, from the emails and the things that you send out. And I think if you want to be inspired, you want to be around like-minded people with a growth mindset and who are moving from scarcity to abundance, this is the place for you, right? Because that's what InterSoul is about. Like we're about moving it forward and changing that mindset. And so that's what I would say to anybody who's thinking about joining InterSoul.
Thank you so much. That was so awesome. So, we're going to, again, as Donna said, we invite you to join the InteSoul Leadership Community. It's a Facebook community, but we do more than that, obviously. And and we are getting the message out, the people to leaders, to let them know that this is a movement and we will continue to grow. Thank you again, Donna, for joining us. And if you are interested and have the means to help the Clark County Equity Coalition, they're obviously taking donations. You can go to their website. Let me put that back up again, and I'll put it in the notes. You can go to their website, as well as if you're in the Clark County, Kentucky community, they're asking for you to get engaged. And you might say, well, how can I help? How can I get engaged? Just ask them. I'm sure they'll be able to tell you how you can help them out. And it really does take a village to really make things go, to help our children to grow, but it also takes the wisdom of many to just excel and make something happen even much faster than what we could solo, just as an individual. We can all say, oh, this is my baby, I'm just going to do it, but you go far much slower than when you have people come alongside you to help. So
Mhm.
thank you again, Donna, for joining us. We'll be watching for all the great things that Clark County Equity Coalition is doing. Like their Facebook page so that you can keep track of what's going on, and where you can help, you will help. And I believe that. And much success to you and your organization. And I believe all the finances that you need and resources are going to come in swiftly.
Thank you. Thank you. I receive it.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and for commenting. And if you have any questions, just reach out on the post and we will get back to you. But most importantly, we're looking for you to join the InteSoul Leadership Community. Bye bye now.
Thank you.
Good morning. Hello. How are you? in this world today, I am inviting all leaders to join me on the InteSoul Leadership podcast. Have you been wondering where is the support that you need as a leader? You're there for everyone else. You're trying to help your teams navigate through the changes and pivot where it's necessary. Are you struggling with how to keep them motivated? Do you find that you're called to meetings, or you are even yourself finding that you're calling people to meetings and really don't have any real agenda? And so people are feeling it more of a waste of time, all in the name of keeping everyone engaged. Look, you don't have to fly solo. I say it all the time. Leaders need support as well. I understand, after being a veteran leader in many facets, that it can be weighty. It can be weighty. But here's the answer. InteSoul Leadership is providing content with special guests based on my insights and wisdoms and experience, based on the various leaders that I bring into the podcast. Also, you can get the support that you need. You get the thought-provoking ideas, insight that will help you change how you're approaching the situation that you are facing right now. So I encourage you, join and log in, subscribe to the InteSoul Leadership podcast. It's on my YouTube channel. You'll find the link in this post. You will find insightful information there, and wonderful guests who are going to share their wisdom. Wisdom is the root of all things. It's the greater of all things. And it's my heart to serve at least 1 million leaders so that we elevate to a place that we're creating healthy cultures everywhere. So I invite you to join me on the InteSoul Leadership podcast every Thursday. Join us there on YouTube. Please subscribe, share, and like.